Now, you might remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about a petition that was around asking people to support the establishment of a memorial to honour all of the people who have died as a result of mesothelioma from being at Wittenoom here in the Pilbara. Melita Markey is the Chief Executive Officer from the ASBESTOS Disease Society of Australia, and she said at the time that she was about to meet with Minister for Mental Health, Aboriginal Affairs and Industrial Relations, Stephen Dawson, about getting government support for the memorials. Well, Melita has met with the Minister, and I caught up with her to get an update on how that went.
Look, it was a very positive meeting, Kelly. The Minister is a very empathic man and really gets the suffering and pain that people are feeling from the loss of their family members and the lack of recognition for that loss. They need a place to grieve. And so we had a very positive conversation talking about that potentially maybe to look and meet with Minister Tony Butty, the Lands Minister, in relation to the Wittenoom closure bill, which is coming up for presentation in the second half of this year. And maybe we can talk a little bit more how we maybe incorporate something in that. That was some of the ideas that were flowing around the room.
Well, that's really positive, isn't it?
It is. Got a long way to go, but it is a step in the right direction that there's some ideas coming.
Now, there was talk of two different memorials, one around the area of Karajini, actually saying to people, this is what happened in this area, and also one down in Perth. Did you talk to the Minister about both of those or just the one up here in the north?
No, we talked about both, and he was that it was very positively received in regards to Karajini, but obviously subject to conversations with the Banjima people. Because obviously they're the traditional owners and we have to make sure they're comfortable with everything we do. So that's one of my next steps, is to arrange a meeting and discuss what we're thinking about and how we want to move forward. And he was very comfortable with that, and also talking to another minister responsible for that area as well. So we got some good conversations about who to talk to, the next steps forward. But one of the things that we did push with the Karajini memorial was that it would be a great deterrent to see thousands of names around this memorial, like they have at the World Trade Center Memorial, all the names of the victims. For people who are looking to do that tourism, that danger tourism, going to Wittenoom, there are still many people driving across into Wittenoom to have a look around and think it's fun. And they're not realising the impact of that. We have cases where people camped there and now have mesothelioma.
And I think that's a big point, isn't it? I mean, there's a perception that you had to be working in the mines there or living in Wittenoom to actually get sick. But there are lots of cases that are coming out now of people who visited the area for a very short period of time who have mesothelioma. And you're talking about some of those examples now. Tell me a little bit about those people who, camped there for a couple of days or something.
Well, that's right. Look, Hale School in Perth used to take an annual camp there for many years. That stopped in the 80s. But there's old boys that could be affected and have been affected. There's just people that were working with horses and travelling around. The Wittenoom Race Day was a huge event in the calendar of the Northwest, and we've got jockeys that have succumbed to mesothelioma, and they were only there just for that one event, say a couple of days or a week in Wittenoom. So we've got cases like that. We've got the case of a wonderful man who was an Olympic equestrian judge who camped there, travelling with his horses through to particular events. We've got just general people that were there in the town for 2 weeks, popped in to do some odd jobs while they were travelling around Australia, earn a bit of cash, 2 weeks, and now have mesothelioma. So it's non-discriminating asbestos disease as dust.
Part of the campaign that you've been running is a petition. How's that petition going now? How many signatures have you got supporting it now?
Well, we're at 3,500. We'd love to get to 5,000, even 10,000. So if we can promote it, it's change.org, Wittenoom Memorial Petition. If you just Google that, you'll get to it. Or go to the Asbestos Disease Society's Facebook page, and there's a link there. So very important for people to support it, because it gives the government a sense of just how important it is to the people of Western Australia to have this memorial and acknowledgement that, in fact, as we get more cases of mesothelioma, we will, in fact, go from the second largest industrial diseases disaster to probably the first, because our cases keep coming.
As the Whitnum Closure Bill comes up in Parliament, I know that we'll talk to you further again and talk to you about how that's going through. What can people do in terms of being more aware themselves about just what that bill will do to make an impact?
Well, look, we keep people regularly updated in our newsletter. So if you go to the Asbestos Disease Society of Australia website, there's a box there where you can register to receive our newsletter, and we pop in information. We don't hound people, we just update them with the facts. And we've got a number of bills before Parliament. We've got the Asbestos Compensation Bill, working with the Whitnum Closure Bill. And we're also looking around getting improved medical research funding. So very important for people to keep up to date if they've had exposure or are concerned about family members who've had exposure. At our offices in Perth and in Osborne Park, we also do screening. So if you're concerned, you can make an appointment at office, 9344 077, and see our doctor and get a screening just if you've had some exposure in the past.
Melita Markey, she is the Chief Executive Officer from the Asbestos Disease Society of Australia, speaking there about that meeting she had with Minister Stephen Dawson. And if you do want to sign that petition, you can still do that. Jump onto their website or their Facebook page and the links are on there.